Before everything fell apart, my life was simple. Not perfect, but simple. It was just me and Dad, in our small but cozy two-bedroom apartment on the edge of town. The place wasn't fancy. We didn't have granite countertops or a pool like some of my friends, but it was ours. Every inch of that apartment held memories. The couch we bought secondhand where we watched movies on Friday nights. The kitchen where Dad made his famous pancakes every Sunday morning, and even the tiny balcony where we'd sit together, sipping iced tea in the summer, talking about everything and nothing. For as long as I could remember, Dad was my entire world. Mom left when I was 6. She didn't die, at least not physically. She just packed up and walked away one day, saying she couldn't do it anymore. I still remember the sound of the door closing behind her, the way her perfume lingered in the air long after she was gone. At first, I waited for her to come back. Every car that pulled into the parking lot made my heart race. But days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into years, and eventually, I stopped waiting. Dad became both parents overnight. He tried his best, and honestly, he did an amazing job. Sure, he wasn't perfect. He sometimes burned dinner or forgot picture day at school, but he was there. He never missed a soccer game, even when he was dead tired from work. He stayed up late helping me with math homework even though he hated math more than anything. And every night, before I went to bed, he'd peek into my room and say the same thing. "Good night, kiddo. I'm proud of you." That's the kind of love I grew up with. Real, steady, dependable love. It was the kind of love that made me feel safe, even when everything else in life felt uncertain. We didn't have much money. Dad worked long hours as a mechanic just to keep us afloat, but somehow, he made it work. He made sure I had everything I needed, even if it meant he went without. By the time I was 17, life had settled into a rhythm. School, soccer practice, late night talks with Dad about my dreams for college. I wanted to study journalism, maybe even move to New York someday. Dad always encouraged me, even when I doubted myself. He used to say, "You've got a fire in you, kiddo. Don't ever let anyone put it out." I believed him. I believed in us. That's why what happened next blindsided me. It started with small things, little changes that didn't seem like a big deal at first. Dad started dressing nicer, which was weird because he usually lived in grease-stained work shirts and jeans. Suddenly, he was wearing button-downs and cologne that smelled expensive. He started working late more often, coming home with this strange smile on his face, like he was carrying a secret he wasn't ready to share. At first, I didn't think much of it. Maybe the shop was doing better. Maybe he got a raise. But then came the phone calls, the ones he'd take in the other room, speaking in this low, soft tone I'd never heard before. Sometimes, I'd catch a glimpse of him grinning at his phone like a teenager with a crush. It was unsettling. One night, I asked him about it. We were sitting at the kitchen table, eating takeout because he'd been too busy to cook. I remember pushing a piece of orange chicken around my plate, trying to sound casual. "Dad," I said, "is there someone new?" He froze for a second, just a second, but I caught it. Then he laughed, that awkward kind of laugh people do when they're hiding something. "Why would you think that?" "I don't know." I shrugged, pretending it didn't matter. "You've been different lately." He didn't answer right away. He just stared at his plate, then looked up at me with this strange, almost guilty smile. "You're growing up so fast," he said, like that had anything to do with my question. Then he changed the subject. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, feeling this weird knot in my stomach. Something was happening, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like Dad and I weren't on the same team. I wish I could say I was overreacting. I wish I could say things went back to normal. But they didn't. They got worse. 2 weeks later, everything I thought I knew about my life came crashing down. 2 weeks later, Dad sat me down in the living room, a serious look on his face that made my stomach twist into knots. He didn't do that often. Usually, if he wanted to talk, it was while we were driving or eating dinner, not this. formal. The way he kept fidgeting with his hands only made me more nervous. Kiddo, he started, his voice calm, but with this undercurrent of excitement, like he was about to tell me something he'd been dying to say. There's something I need to share with you. I stared at him, my heart pounding. My mind raced through possibilities. Maybe he got a new job. Maybe we were moving. But then he said the words that made everything inside me freeze. I've met someone. For a moment, I thought I misheard him. Met someone? What did that even mean? But then he smiled, this big, goofy smile I hadn't seen in years, and I knew I heard him right. Her name's Monica, he continued. We've been talking for a while now, and, well, things are serious. Really serious. I felt like the floor had been ripped out from under me. Serious? When did this happen? How could something so big be happening in his life? And I had no clue. My throat felt tight, like I couldn't breathe. You have a girlfriend? I finally managed to say. He chuckled softly, like he thought my reaction was cute. Yeah, I guess you could say that. I wanted to ask a million questions. Who is she? Where did you meet her? Why didn't you tell me sooner? But the words tangled in my throat. All I could do was nod, because what else could I do? He looked so happy, and for a second, I hated myself for not feeling happy for him. She's amazing, Dad went on, his eyes lighting up. She makes me laugh. She gets me. And I think you'll like her. I really do. I think you'll like her. The phrase hung in the air like a challenge. When? When do I meet her? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. His smile widened. Funny you should ask. She's coming over tonight. My heart dropped. Tonight? He couldn't even give me a day to prepare? Before I could process that, he added, almost as an afterthought. And her daughter's coming too. I blinked. Her daughter? Yeah, he said, like it was no big deal. Her name's Olivia. She's about your age, actually. My stomach churned. It was one thing for Dad to have a girlfriend. It was another for him to drop the news that I'd be sharing my space with some random girl I didn't even know. And he said it so casually, like he didn't realize he was dropping a bomb on me. The rest of the afternoon was a blur. Dad cleaned the apartment like we were about to host the Queen of England. He even lit candles. I sat on the couch, scrolling aimlessly through my phone, trying to ignore the pounding in my chest. And then, the knock came. Dad practically leapt to the door, smoothing his shirt like a teenager on prom night. When he opened it, there she was, Monica. She was beautiful in this polished, perfect way that made me instantly self-conscious. Long blonde hair, bright red lipstick, nails that probably cost more than my entire outfit. She swept into the room like she owned it, flashing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. And then behind her came Olivia. The first thing I noticed was her hair, long, dark waves that looked like they belonged in a shampoo commercial. Then her clothes, designer jeans, a crop top that screamed confidence. She carried herself like she'd stepped out of a TikTok video, all effortless, cool, and subtle attitude. Her eyes flicked over me, quick and calculating, like she was sizing me up. This must be her, she said, her voice sweet but with this edge I couldn't place. Monica laughed softly. Yes, this is Emma, she said, turning to me with a smile. It's so nice to finally meet you, sweetheart. Sweetheart. I hated the way she said it, like she was trying too hard. But I forced a smile because Dad was watching, and the last thing I wanted was to ruin this for him. Nice to meet you too, I muttered. Dinner was awkward, to put it mildly. Dad was all smiles, cracking jokes, trying to make everything seem normal. Monica laughed at everything he said, her hand resting on his arm like it belonged there. And Olivia? She barely looked up from her phone, except when Dad asked her a question, and then she'd flash this perfect, fake smile that made my skin crawl. When they finally left, I collapsed on the couch, exhausted from pretending everything was fine. But deep down, I knew something had shifted. This wasn't just a casual thing. This was the beginning of something big. Something I wasn't ready for. And I was right. Because 2 weeks later, Dad dropped the second bombshell. He was marrying her. 2 weeks later, Dad told me the news like it was the best thing that had ever happened to us. I asked Monica to marry me, he said, his eyes glowing with excitement, the way they used to when I scored a winning goal at a soccer game. And she said yes. I just sat there, frozen. The words hung in the air like smoke I couldn't breathe through. Married? As in, forever? My mouth went dry. I tried to swallow, but my throat felt like sandpaper. You're getting married? I whispered, hoping I'd misheard. Yes, he said, grinning like a teenager. Isn't it great, kiddo? We're gonna be a family. You, me, Monica, and Olivia. There it was again. Olivia. Her name felt like a splinter under my skin. I forced a smile, because that's what I always did for Dad. But inside, I felt something cracking, like the foundation of my life was starting to crumble. When? I asked, my voice flat. In 2 months, he said, practically bouncing in his seat. We don't want to wait. Life's too short, you know? 2 months. That was nothing. 2 months to prepare for my entire life to change. 2 months before I had to share my dad with a stranger and her perfect, glossy-haired daughter who looked at me like I was some charity case. I nodded, but inside, I was screaming. The next 2 months were a blur of wedding talk. Every time I walked into the living room, Monica was there with her Pinterest boards and her perfect manicure, planning flower arrangements like she was starring in her own reality show. Dad was wrapped around her finger, smiling at everything she said like she hung the moon. He barely noticed when I slipped away to my room, pretending I had homework just so I didn't have to sit there and listen. And Olivia? Oh, she played her part well. Every time Dad was around, she was all sweetness. Emma, do you want to help me pick out dresses? Or, we should totally hang out sometime. But the second his back was turned, her smile would vanish like it had never been there. The first time it happened, I thought I imagined it. Dad had just left the room to grab drinks, and Olivia turned to me, her perfect lips curling into a smirk. You know this is happening whether you like it or not, right? She said, her voice low cold. I blinked. What? She leaned in closer, her perfume sharp and expensive. You heard me. You don't have to like me. I don't care. But don't even think about messing this up for my mom. My heart thudded in my chest. I'm not. Good, she said, straightening up just as Dad walked back in. Her fake smile snapped back on like a switch. Oh my gosh, Emma. We have to go shopping together sometime. I just stared at her, my hands curling into fists under the table. That was the moment I knew Olivia wasn't what she seemed. And something told me she wasn't just here to blend in. She was here to take over. The wedding came faster than I wanted. One day, I was sitting on the couch, trying to pretend this was all fine, and the next, I was standing in a pale blue bridesmaid dress that made me feel like I was suffocating. Dad looked so happy, his arm around Monica like she was the answer to every prayer he'd ever whispered. And I wanted to be happy for him. I really did. But when I glanced at Olivia, standing there in her perfect dress with that smug little smile, something inside me snapped. This was my dad. My life. And somehow, it didn't feel like mine anymore. After the wedding, everything changed. We moved into Monica's house, a big, 2-story place with marble countertops and a chandelier in the entryway. It was nothing like our apartment. It smelled like expensive candles and rules I didn't understand. There was no couch covered in old blankets, no balcony where Dad and I used to watch sunsets. It didn't feel like home. It felt like hers. And Olivia made sure I knew it. This is my room, she said the day I moved in, her voice dripping with fake politeness as she leaned against the doorway of a massive bedroom that looked like something out of a magazine. Mom said you could take the guest room. It's down the hall. Kind of small, but I guess you're used to that. I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. Thanks, I muttered. walking past her without looking back. But I could feel her smirk burning into my skin. That was just the beginning. Little things at first, my phone charger going missing, clothes disappearing from my laundry basket, whispers behind my back when we were at school. Because, of course, we went to the same school now. And Olivia? She ruled the place. Perfect hair, perfect smile, perfect fake personality that made teachers adore her and guys fall at her feet. She slid into my world like she'd been rehearsing for it her whole life. And me? I started to disappear. Every time something went wrong, somehow it was my fault. If Monica's favorite vase broke, Olivia would shrug and say, "I saw Emma in the living room earlier." If money went missing from Dad's wallet, Olivia would find it in my backpack. I tried telling Dad, but he never believed me. He'd just sigh and say, "Come on, kiddo, give her a chance. This is hard for her too." A chance. That's what he called it. But it felt like Olivia was playing chess, and I was the pawn she couldn't wait to knock over. And then came the night everything really started to unravel. It was a Friday. Dad and Monica were out on a date, leaving Olivia and me alone in the house. I was in my room, trying to drown out my thoughts with music, when the door burst open. Olivia stood there, her eyes glittering like broken glass. "We need to talk," she said, her voice sharp. I pulled out my earbuds. "About what?" She walked in, closing the door behind her with a soft click. "About the fact that you don't belong here," she said, her smile venomous. "This is my house. My life. And you? You're just extra." I stared at her, my chest tightening. "What is your problem?" "My problem," she said, leaning closer, "is that my mom and your dad are happy. And you're not. You're like this pathetic little shadow, clinging to the past. Newsflash, Emma. He's not your dad anymore. He's ours." Something in me snapped. I stood up, my hands shaking. "You don't get to say that." She laughed, this cold, hollow laugh that made my blood run cold. "Watch me." Then she walked out, leaving the door wide open like she wanted the world to know she'd just declared war. And that's exactly what it was. A war I wasn't ready for. A war I couldn't win. I should have seen it coming. Looking back now, every smirk, every whispered comment, every fake smile Olivia flashed when Dad was around, it all pointed to this moment. But I didn't. I was too busy trying to hold on to the life I had before everything changed, too busy convincing myself that maybe, just maybe, we could make this work. That maybe I could survive sharing my dad with them. I was wrong. The night it happened started out like any other. A Friday. Dad and Monica were out, again, leaving Olivia and me in the house alone. I stayed in my room, like I always did, headphones on, trying to escape into music because it was the only thing that still felt like mine. I didn't even hear her come in until she yanked the earbuds right out of my ears. "What the?" I spun around, anger flaring, but stopped when I saw her face. That smug, icy smile. My stomach dropped. I knew that look. It meant trouble. "Relax," she said, twirling the earbuds around her finger like she owned them. "I just thought we should talk." "I'm not in the mood," I muttered, reaching for my earbuds, but she yanked them away. "Too bad," she said, her voice sweet but sharp as glass. "You're going to want to hear this." I crossed my arms, glaring at her. "What do you want, Olivia?" She tilted her head, that perfect hair sliding over her shoulder like something out of a commercial. "You know what I love about you, Emma? You're so predictable. Always doing the good girl act. Homework on time, no trouble, never breaks the rules." She smirked. "It must be exhausting." I frowned. "What are you talking about?" She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "I'm going to ruin you." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," she said, her eyes glittering. "You've been a pain since day one. Acting like you're better than me, like this house isn't mine. Like Dad," she spat the word like it burned her mouth, "is still yours." Well, guess what? I'm done playing nice. I laughed, even though my hands were shaking. You're insane. Maybe, she said, shrugging. But I'm also smart. And everyone already loves me. Your dad, your teachers, your friends. Oh wait, do you even have friends left? Her smile widened when my silence answered for me. Thought so. So when I tell them what you did, who do you think they'll believe? You? Or me? My heart pounded in my ears. What? What are you planning? She pulled out her phone, waving it like a trophy. Let's just say, you should have locked your door. Cold dread washed over me. What did you do? She grinned. Oh, nothing major. Just borrowed your phone for a little while. Sent a few messages. To the wrong people. With some interesting photos I found in your camera roll. My blood ran cold. You're lying. Am I? She said, tapping her phone. A second later, mine buzzed on the nightstand. I snatched it up, my fingers trembling as I unlocked the screen. And then I saw it, the messages, sent from my account. To my soccer group chat. To my best friend, Lily. Even to one of my teachers. Horrible, ugly things. Things I would never say. Screenshots of conversations twisted out of context. And then the pictures, photos of me in my room, in my pajamas, even one of me changing. Pictures I didn't take. My breath caught in my throat. How did you? She smirked. Let's just say security cameras aren't the only way to keep an eye on people. You should check your vents sometime. I felt like I was going to throw up. You can't do this. Oh, sweet Emma, she said, her voice dripping with mock sympathy. I already did. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again, this time with a flood of notifications. Messages. Comments. Posts. My social media blowing up like a bomb. People calling me names. People asking what was wrong with me. People laughing. No, my voice broke. I tried to open the apps, tried to explain, but it was too late. The screenshots were everywhere. The lies were already spreading like wildfire. I looked up at her, tears blurring my vision. Why? My voice cracked. Why are you doing this? She shrugged, her expression cold and empty. Because I can. Because you don't belong here. And because I want everything you have left. Your friends, your life, even your dad. And when he finds out about all this. She smirked. Guess who he's going to believe? And then she walked out, leaving me standing there with my life in pieces. The next few days were a nightmare. At school, people whispered when I walked by. My phone didn't stop buzzing, every notification another knife in my chest. Lily blocked me. My soccer coach asked me to take a break from the team. Even teachers looked at me differently. No one believed me when I said it wasn't true. Why would they? Olivia had already painted me as the jealous stepdaughter lashing out. But the worst part, the part that shattered me completely, was Dad. When he finally sat me down, his face was pale, his eyes filled with disappointment I'd never seen before. Emma, he said quietly, what's going on? Dad, I swear, it wasn't me. I sobbed. Olivia, she did this. She set me up. He sighed, rubbing his forehead like I was giving him a headache. Kiddo, come on. Olivia showed us the messages. She said you've been struggling with the changes, that you felt left out. I'm not lying, I cried, grabbing his hands. Please, Dad, you have to believe me. But he pulled away. I don't know what to believe anymore, he said, his voice breaking. You're not the same lately, Emma. I thought we could make this work, but what? He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. Because the look in his eyes said it all. He didn't believe me. And in that moment, I realized I had lost everything. I don't remember the next few days clearly. Everything blurred together. The whispers at school, the cold stares from people I used to call friends, the way Dad avoided looking at me like he couldn't stand the sight of me anymore. I spent most of my time locked in that tiny guest room, curled up under a blanket, staring at my phone as notification after notification rolled in, each one cutting me open a little more. I deleted my social media accounts, thinking maybe that would help. It didn't. The damage was already done. Screenshots live forever. People live for drama. And Olivia made sure the story never died. Every time a rumor started to fade, she'd post something, some cryptic tweet or a fake, concerned post about how she hoped I was getting help. And everyone ate it up. Even Dad. Especially Dad. He stopped knocking on my door at night to say goodnight. Stopped making pancakes on Sundays. Stopped asking how my day was. When I tried to talk to him, he'd just sigh and say, "Emma, please, I can't deal with this right now." Like I was a problem he regretted taking on. And that broke me. A week after everything exploded, I hit rock bottom. I was sitting on the floor of my room, staring at the bare walls because Monica had decided the posters I brought from our old apartment didn't match the aesthetic. I felt hollow, like someone had scooped out everything that made me, me. My life wasn't mine anymore. My dad wasn't mine anymore. My friends were gone. My reputation was shredded. And then I saw it, a photo, tucked under the edge of my nightstand. It was of me and Dad, back in the old apartment, sitting on the couch with bowls of popcorn, both of us laughing so hard we could barely breathe. My chest ached so bad it felt like something was breaking inside me. That's when I decided I had to leave. I couldn't stay in this house another second. I grabbed my old duffel bag and stuffed it with clothes, my journal, and the little bit of cash I had saved from babysitting. I didn't have a plan. I just knew I couldn't breathe here anymore. But when I opened the door to sneak out, I froze. Because Olivia was standing there. She leaned against the wall, arms crossed, that same smug smile plastered on her face. "Going somewhere?" she asked, her voice dripping with fake innocence. My hands clenched around the strap of my bag. "Move," I said, my voice shaking. She raised an eyebrow. "Ah, are you running away? How dramatic. What's the plan, Emma? Gonna live under a bridge? Maybe start a YouTube channel about how mean your stepsister is?" "Shut up," I snapped, pushing past her. But she grabbed my arm, nails digging into my skin. "You really think you can just leave?" she hissed. "You're not going anywhere." I yanked my arm free, my heart pounding. "Watch me." I stormed down the hall. But then she said something that stopped me cold. "If you walk out that door," she said, her voice low and sharp, "I'll make sure your dad never speaks to you again." I turned, my breath catching. "What are you talking about?" She smirked. "You think I've only been messing with your little social life? Please. I've been busy, Emma. While you've been sulking, I've been planting seeds." She pulled out her phone and waved it like a weapon. Texts, emails, screenshots. All from you, of course. Telling people you hate your dad. That you wish Monica would just disappear. You'd be surprised how easy it is to fake a message when you have someone's phone for 5 minutes. My stomach twisted into knots. "You're lying." "Am I?" she said, her eyes glinting. "Go ask him. Go see how much he trusts you now." Something inside me snapped. I charged at her, grabbing her phone, but she was ready. We struggled, the phone clattering to the floor. It landed face up, the screen glowing, and that's when I saw it. A folder labeled Plan A. I snatched the phone before she could grab it and opened the folder. My hands shook as I scrolled through file after file, screenshots, fake messages, even videos she'd edited to make it look like I was yelling at her, threatening her. And then, the emails. Emails from Monica's account. Ones Olivia had drafted and saved, ready to send. Emails that talked about me like I was dangerous, unstable. Like I needed help. Like maybe I shouldn't be allowed to live there anymore. My blood ran cold. "You were going to get me kicked out," I whispered. She smirked. "Oh, honey. I was going to do more than that." That's when I saw the last file. A video. I tapped it, and my heart stopped. It was Dad in the garage, arguing with Monica. His voice was low, but clear. I don't know if this was a mistake, Mon. Emma's miserable. Maybe we rushed this. And then Monica's voice, sharp and angry. You promised me, Jack. You said she wouldn't be a problem. And then Olivia's voice, sweet as poison. Don't worry, Mom. I'll take care of it. The screen went black. I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. You recorded this? I breathed. Olivia snatched the phone from my hands, her smile razor sharp. Oops, she said, tucking it into her pocket. Guess the secret's out. My legs felt like jelly. My own dad thought I was the problem. Monica wanted me gone. And Olivia. She wasn't just ruining my life for fun. She was doing it because this was the plan all along. I ran. I don't even remember grabbing my bag. I just remember the sound of Olivia laughing behind me as I bolted out the door, tears streaming down my face, the cold night air burning my lungs. I ran until my legs gave out, until I collapsed on the curb 2 blocks away, gasping for breath. And that's where Lily found me. She pulled up in her car, her eyes wide with shock. Emma, what the hell happened to you? I broke down. Told her everything, every lie, every setup, every secret. She believed me. Thank God. She believed me. And she had an idea. We went back. Not inside, just close enough to connect to Olivia's Wi-Fi. Lily's a tech genius, and within minutes, she hacked into Olivia's cloud backup. We downloaded everything, the messages, the fake screenshots, the video of Monica and Dad. Every dirty little secret Olivia thought she had under control. And then, we exposed her. First to Dad. I'll never forget the look on his face when he saw that video. When he read the fake messages. When he realized how badly he'd failed me. He cried. I cried. Monica tried to defend Olivia, but it was too late. The truth was out. Olivia was shipped off to some boarding school across the country. Monica stayed, but things were never the same. And Dad? He begged me to forgive him. Begged me to come home. I did eventually. But the scars didn't fade overnight. Because here's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't just break your heart. It breaks your trust. And once that's gone, nothing's ever the same.